Greetings, everybody. We're back around the table again for the more casual discussion segment of this.
The rambly bit.
Yep.
The ramblings.
Yep. And this one's rambling is going to be continuing to look at the new Spyderco Endela.
Yeah, halfway between Delica and Endura.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking off camera a bunch about it. We'll talk on camera about their choice to make
The redheaded
this new
stepchild.
size. Yeah. Redheaded, I don't know. Anyway.
It shouldn't be shunned to the corner, so I don't think it's quite the redheaded stepchild, but it's definitely the mid-child.
Yeah, it's definitely a middle child.
And if we're talking about the family with VG10 and FRNs, we're getting into man bugs territories. There is more of a redheaded stepchild than this knife in that category.
Touche.
Story.
I was just thinking of the three,
Yep.
the trilogy,
Yeah, I suppose it should be counted as a trilogy.
the original three, except for this one.
Yeah. It's not quite original.
Dragonfly totally thinks you're a dick right now.
So yeah, back onto the knife discussion here. They were trying to meet a market of people who thought that the Endura was too big and that the Delica was too small, so mid-size grip, mid-size blade.
All four of those guys are going to be super happy with this.
Yeah.
knife.
I'm one of those four guys. You put it in my hand, and this is a beautiful thing. This knife is exactly the size it needs to be for a large hand in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So for guys who didn't want a knife as big as an Endura,
Just feels like a Delica to me.
Delicas hang off the pinky like Nigel with his weird monster mitts. That's what a
Yeah.
large does for me a little bit.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I will say I was surprised when it came into the store because, like, as you saw by the enthusiasm, I gave it a 4. Wasn't really time of day, but as soon as it came into the shop, it was like, oh, that's actually not bad. I can see the reasoning behind the decision.
Yeah.
Eric Glesser's just muppeting away.
He's doing a great job. Bring on the PM2 Tanto.
Lightweight version.
I was going to say the lightweight version.
Yeah.
With 3V that's under heat treated. Heyo. That knife already exists. Anyway.
But it doesn't have a hole in it.
Anyway.
What he said.
Yeah, it's true. There's aftermarket mods, but
So,
Yeah.
as much as I'm going to hate on this knife, and you're going to hear me hate on this knife, there are some things that I really do enjoy, and the texture on it is impeccable.
Mhm.
It's got that kind of velvety feel that good G10 or micarta has almost.
Yeah, I definitely noticed the difference between like the original Delica and Enduras. It almost has like a slight bumpiness to the texture where the
Yeah.
edges of the molds on these guys are nice and smooth.
slightly of an orange peeled.
Yeah.
It was still chamfered, you could see it, but the texture itself was different.
Mm-hmm.
Now the weird thing is we've noticed this new polish on their FRN on both the Golden Colorado and the Japanese versions of the new FRN stuff that's out on the market.
Yeah, specifically this guy and the lightweight Parrot 3.
I would be really happy across the board if they did that with all of their FRN, quite honestly.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad change.
No.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the Para 3.
Mm-hmm. It will come.
We'll have that review soon enough here. We all have got a chance to handle it, and we're waiting to give you that review. But yeah, there was some similarities. And then you look at
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
between the Para 3. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and similarities with this is a Para 2.
Yeah.
And I think I showed everyone in the shop that if you actually throw up a Para 2 side by side, you don't have yours today, but the blade to handle ratio is
Pretty much the same.
nigh on
Yeah, very
identical to a PM2. So they kind of released a PM2 lightweight and a PM3 lightweight both at the same time.
They're testing the waters for that compression lock.
They just classified it as an Endela. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. So
So I will say, at least for me personally, part of why we're kind of so rambly and discoordinated with this one is it's a little bit of a neutral knife for all of us. It doesn't really wow us and doesn't really have any strong points that we disagree upon.
I think it's a great addition to the budget family of Spyderco.
Yeah.
I really do.
Mm-hmm.
If you need a workhorse and you've got that kind of middle ground hand, it's a good knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why it exists.
You want one good knife that you're not a knife guy. You don't have a million knives. You just want something you can rely on without breaking the bank. And you got it with the Delica. But there's a lot of guys that were probably in the same boat as me that you're like, it's just a touch small.
Yeah.
Yeah. And much more of a pronounced choil on there that's not actually a finger choil, but it's blocky enough on the Delica that it feels like almost
You want to put your finger up there.
well, and reduces your cutting ability because of how much it takes up. Whereas the Endura had the opposite effect, and this guy does have leaning towards the Endura, like kind of inconsequential choil.
Yeah.
More than Delica.
I was going to say, too, the VG10 is nice. If you want a steel that you can just, like, get home from work, make it absolutely screaming sharp again, and be back ready to go back to work the next day.
Super easy maintenance.
5 minutes, and you're screaming sharp again.
Yeah. But I think with all of us, the lack of enthusiasm comes down to the fact that we've all gone well and beyond.
Yeah.
A VG10 FRN, even an EDC knife. This is the knife that we put in our toolboxes.
Yeah.
And in our fishing tackle
Yeah,
kits and things
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at what's sitting on the table around us tonight.
There are other knives in this kind of category of, like, workhorse knife that I would pick before this one at the end of the day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and for the price point
Yeah.
that's out there type of thing, I think there is better options on the table that you can probably crank on just as hard. And coming from the Japanese factory, I will say, out of the box, this one is bang on, completely centered, but there has been a bit of a slip on Spyderco centering out of the Japanese factory in particular. So, and I've seen it, people returning knives on a regular basis because they're just like scraping against
Scraping
the handle.
the handle scale, yeah.
And FRN's a pretty abrasive surface to be constantly
rubbing on.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, does this one have a steel liner? Yeah, it's got steel liner, so theoretically, rubbing on that steel liner is not going to do you any favors either.
No.
But I will say, the one that we're looking at tonight,
Yeah, it's nice and straight, nice and tight.
grinds are nice.
Yep.
Everything's locked up solid on this guy. So, yeah.
Pretty much one of the biggest things that I don't like about it is the same sort of thing that I don't like with a lot of with a lot of the Spyderco stuff is it gets into that pointy pistol grippy sort of range.
The Cobra hood.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
point the knife at
Yeah.
things. Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
So as far as like the personal ergonomics of it, I'm not a fan.
Evidently, I like that in a knife because I keep going back to knives that have that.
That weird little pinch
That
yeah.
kind of
there. Yeah.
snap cut kind of feel to them.
I do enjoy a knife that I can put my thumb like a little more like evenly, a little more fluidly on the spine of the knife, and I do find
Completely agree.
the Cobra hood does conflict with that, as well as the lockback itself. We haven't dabbled on it too much, but lockback is down at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to a locking mechanism as far as fun to play with.
It is ambidextrous, though.
It is
a bonus.
ambidextrous,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no question about
But as far as fun to play with, that's not that much
No.
fun to play with.
It's not a frame, it's not an access, it's not ball bearing flippers. It's really utilitarian in a lot of ways, right? So
It hasn't changed since, like, the Buck 110 kind of idea.
Yeah.
yeah, more or less. Yeah, I don't know. It's, for me, my exact words were, it's the perfect knife that never needed to happen.
Yeah.
And I said it when I first put it in my hands because it really is the perfect size for me personally. But I think Spyderco could have lived their existence with just strictly having a Delica, strictly having an Endura, this weird little stretch model that no one really wants to talk about too much. But other than that, for the full-size knives, they could have been just fine with just continuing on with those. But they chose to come out with this mid-size. And me personally, this is the knife I'd buy if I was going for a mid-budget. This is the size I'm looking for, both in the pocket and in the hand. But
Yeah, it's a good option for sure, but yeah, I don't know what point I was going to try and make. That's going to get cut.
That's fair.
this guy.
Yeah, I was going to make a point and I forget what it is now.
This guy.
Yeah, no.
This guy.
I will point out,
I think this guy
it
too.
is like right across the board when it comes to Spyderco stuff, almost across the board. I shouldn't say right across the board. That it's completely ambidextrous, tip up, tip down. If you want to be
Mhm.
wrong about how you carry your knife, you can do it with this knife.
But you got to do it with an ugly spoon clip with a lanyard in the middle
But
of it. Right?
super functional.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And,
Great
Keeping on with
clips,
the
they're just
theme
not
of the
pretty.
workhorse.
and it's
yeah.
got the nice patch for where it sits on your pocket, so it's nice and easy to slip on and off of. Again, very utilitarian for sure.
This is not a specifically like Spyderco thing, but it is present on this knife. I hate painted clips. I don't mind coated clips.
Yeah.
A DLC coating.
Yeah, the carburized ones or whatever type
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
That's the kind of thing where it's going to wear slowly. Painted
Not
clips,
just get scratched.
you breathe on them and they're just scratched
Yeah.
to shit.
The edges go right away. They get
Yeah.
stirred up down the middle. You're right. Yeah, painted clips suck, and they will continue to do them on the Delicas and the Enduras.
Budget line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did
It
silver
costs more to
clip.
paint them than it does to just
I
leave
was
it
going to
silver.
say, some of the Delicas and the Enduras do have silver clips, so it's weird that they chose to put
Black on
It is
black, I
odd.
guess.
the
yeah.
black on the Endelas. Yeah. Because you do see it on the Delicas, on the Enduras, even the black handles, they have got silver clips.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
weird that they would have done it on this one.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
pretty much sums it up. Kind of indifferent about this knife.
But yeah,
Um,
it's a knife. It's not bad. It's not necessarily good in our eyes, but just because we're geeks and are a little bit snobby.
It is definitely a passing grade.
Mhm.
If you are out there looking for a, like, I don't want to say budget, because it's not quite budget knife, but you want a good workhorse that you can trust that it's going to be there ready for you every time you go out and grab it, and you've got that kind of large apple pick in hand, that might be the knife for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is worth picking up if that's the case.
For sure. Yeah, so that pretty much sums it up for the babbling. This is Nigel the Smith signing off.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
And I'm at exile.ca.
We will catch you again next time.
What are we doing off?
I don't know. I
My
don't know
mouth
what
wasn't
kind
sure
of
if I wanted to
off-
say
yeah.
goodbye, like saying goodbye or signing off, and it kind of came out as both.
That's fair.
We're signing off.
Saning.